What if Goku was in the boys' TV show universe, Season 3, Part 1? Now, the boys have been doing a pretty good job of keeping a low profile, but with the added challenge of Goku, who eats like he is a living black hole, and who tries to escape like a toddler trying to get out of their playpen. But through this challenge, Billy finds a solution and decides to smuggle Goku to where his wife and her son is. Now, Billy and Goku have been doing this for a while now, so much so that Ryan and Goku have developed a kind of mentor-mentee type bond, and Ryan is getting better control over his powers. And Billy could not be happier. Not only does he have his wife back, but the fact that Ryan might be the second ace in the hole of taking down Vought. But little did they know what was actually brewing. What if Goku was in the boys' TV show universe, Season 3, Part 2? Stan Anchor has been having to deal with a mountain load of work, specifically with Goku going missing, Stormfront barely recovering in the hospital, and Homelander apparently, from his other employees telling him that he's kind of going through a mini identity crisis. Specifically with Goku going missing now, it seems that Homelander is kind of starting to take a bit of reins. Stan has also been getting news about a certain discovery that they found somewhere in the middle of North America, and they don't know what to make of it. As Stan Anchor is reading the report about this subject, he finds that they found something really interesting with the DNA mixed in with Compound V, and even get an interesting name calling it Compound C. What if Goku was in the boys' TV show universe, Season 3, Part 3? Now, Homelander feels both relieved and stressed at the fact of Goku's being missing for a while now. He feels like now he's back in his top spot, but at the same time feels like he was finally having someone he could actually connect to. Now, Homelander and Stormfront have been having quite a bit of conversations, especially as they are pertaining to Goku. And Homelander has never felt so conflicted about an issue, especially about a person. Now, how it has been in his head is the fact that Goku is above him in strength and power, and yet he has never really used that to intimidate or take Homelander's spot, like, ever. Goku has been getting his own fans and his own fan base, but he's never actually taken any of fans' attention at all, which confuses Homelander greatly. Now, Stormfront isn't as conflicted. She vehemently hates Goku, especially for what he did to her, almost separating her spine from her head, and almost making her utterly paralyzed. The amount of public pity that she has received is just downright despicable in her eyes. But despite this mishap, she found a positive through it, specifically with having her conversations with Homelander and being able to maybe get him to see her side of things. She's been planting the seeds that Homelander should really doubt Goku's, attempt at friendship with him, and that it's nothing more than just a ploy. And at first, Homelander would show obvious signs of aggression, but the thing is, as time kept on progressing and Goku wasn't returning, those little seeds were starting to grow. Now, there has been certain issues that have been arising that is bringing into question about what really happened to Goku, and why has there not been any real press releases regarding what happened to Goku. Now, Goku isn't necessarily seen as the number one hero, but he still was a fan favorite, and they have been wondering that there hasn't been any reports on him since. And on no particularly special day, Stan Anchor decides to call upon Homelander and Stormfront to his office to bring them up to speed on certain developments. What if Goku was in the Boys TV show universe, Season 3, Part 4? Now, most of the time, Billy and Goku would go together to go and see Ryan, and Billy would go and see his wife. But there were times when Billy would have Goku go alone, and that was for a specific reason. Now, Billy has been keeping this secret from Goku because he wants to have this as some form of insurance to make sure that if Goku did in fact turn on them at any point in time, that he would at least have some form of a backup plan. Now, Frenchie and Billy have been mixing whatever remnants of Goku's DNA that they can find and mixing it with whatever compound V that they still had left, and have been noticing some interesting reactions, to say the least. Now, at first, the chemical would bubble over and slowly start to turn from blue to red. And now, both Frenchie and Billy don't actually know what to make of this new chemical. They have an idea of what compound V does to the human body, such as give them a random superpower, but they don't know what this specific chemical will do. Hell, I don't even think Frenchie at this point in time even has a name to call this new chemical. As Billy and Frenchie are now looking at this new chemical reaction that they just created, Mother's Milk decides to come into the fray and go into a, "What in the hell are you doing?" And Billy doesn't miss a beat. He looks directly at Eminem and says, "Making sure we got proper insurance." Eminem looks at both Frenchie and Billy and looks at them extremely sternly and says, "Oh, really? And how do you plan to test this new chemical? It's not like you got a lot of test subjects, and for all you know, you just made a freaking compound poison." Billy doesn't even stir at what Eminem said. Instead, goes into a wide smirk and says, "Well, we should test it then." Meanwhile, at Becca's house, Ryan and Goku have been training for hours, and Goku has told Ryan about his transformations, and Ryan asked Goku if he could see his transformation up close. He only got to see it for a few seconds that other time. And Goku happily turns into his Super Saiyan transformation. And Ryan, in his innocent curiosity, asks Goku how he actually does something like that. What if Goku was in the Boys TV show universe, Season 3, Part 5? Now, while the boys are now going to do some sort of experiment with their new chemical that they just created, and Goku is out training with Ryan, Starlight has been keeping a watchful eye on Vought Tower. Both Huey and Starlight have been working as a dynamic duo, trying to get as much information and dirt on Vought as possible. Especially since Goku has been gone, a lot of people have been kind of really interested in the new developments that's been happening at Vought Tower. Especially with the new relationship that's been blooming between Stormfront and Homelander. Now, Starlight has been hearing rumors about a new compound that's being created by Vought, but she doesn't necessarily have anything definitive, only what's been talked around at Vought Tower. Starlight was able to sneak Huey into Vought Tower, with a lot of distractions and accidental fires. When Starlight and Huey were finally able to make an escape and get the access to that information, they found out that that new compound that was being created is called Compound C, and it is currently being worked on in Russia in secret. Meanwhile, in Russia, Soldier Boy is being reawakened again to test out the new Compound C, and he is screaming in absolute agony. And while that's going on in the background, Cell is stuck in his larva state and kept in this special container that releases this gas that keeps him in complete unconsciousness. Both experiments are being surrounded by scientists from both the US and Russia. Now, the US and Russia have had significant differences in the past, but they both see that there's something to gain from this, with Russia having really lax laws on scientific experimentation, and the US having a lot of really nice materials to have in scientific experimentation, both see that they have something to gain from the other. Not to mention, from whatever comes out of this experiment could make them both profitable. Not just for a planet-type war, but they are also being exposed to maybe there is in fact life out there, and that they might want to get a step up from that. And as Soldier Boy is screaming at the top of his lungs, and then it slowly goes into a gasp, and when they think that he is dead, he comes back, revived, almost brand new. What if Goku was in the Boys TV show universe? Season 3, Part 6. Now, Homelander has been looking at this green vial that Stan Anker had handed to him for literal hours, trying to contemplate if he's supposed to use it or not, and even if he did, if it would be a benefit to him at all. Now, the only person that Homelander has talked about Compound C with is Stormfront, and she seems to be all for the idea of taking Compound C. But Homelander seems a lot more hesitant, thinking that maybe there is in fact some sort of shortcomings with this drug, that there might be more cons than pros at the end. Meanwhile, in the distance, Goku feels like he needs to metaphorically stretch out his legs. He has literally been condensing his power within his body for months, never allowing it to actually seep through, and it's actually starting to get to him. Now, Goku tried to let his power out gradually, but as soon as he got a taste of being able to let out his power at all, kind of just went loose. And with all that freaking energy just going out into the earth, caused earthquakes and tsunamis. Now, Goku was aware that if he let loose his power for too long, that he could end up causing severe problems for this earth. So Goku only did this for a short amount of time, reverted back to his base state, and then returned to Becca Butcher's house to go and train Ryan. Now, Mother's Milk is in the process of watching Billy Butcher do something so vehemently insane, such as shove a new compound into his bloodstream without it being tested, and they all unanimously decided to call it Compound Z because it sounded neat. And watching this man go through an internal metamorphosis of some sort. And yet, somehow, miraculously, Billy Butcher survives the process. Now, both Mother's Milk and Frenchie are looking intently at Billy Butcher, seeing if there's any physical differences to how he was before. And to them, he kind of just looks the same. Mother's Milk decides to just end the silence and straight up just asks Billy, "Do you feel any different?" And Billy Butcher, with the most smug smirk on his face, says, "I feel bloody fantastic." Now, Homelander doesn't really agree with Stormfront's thing about taking Compound C, and he really wants like a third-person perspective on this. And he doesn't really have very many friends to speak to, so he decides to go and see a fellow rival.